Once every 1,000 years, the gods hold a meeting to determine if humans should be allowed to exist for the next 1,000 years. But this time the gods agree that humanity is a scourge on existence and should be wiped out. However, before Zeus could sentence humans to oblivion, Brunhild, one of the 13 Valkyries created to direct humans, appears and suggests something more interesting than just immediate extinction. She suggests Ragnarok, a tournament of one-on-one battles between 13 gods and 13 humans, in which mankind gets to survive if they win. The gods think it must be nothing more than a bad joke, but after Brunhild bruises their egos, they agree to the showdown. The first battle is between the strongest in both realms. On the human side, we have Lu Bu, the greatest Chinese hero, who's accompanied by the most devoted followers you've seen since Swifties. On the god side, we have none other than the god of thunder, Thor, sporting some cheap hair dye. Despite hearing the gods' representatives, Brunhild remains calm and certain that the humans will indeed defeat the gods. The referee declares the start of the battle, so Thor and Lu Bu calmly walk toward each other without raising their weapons, in a show of utter confidence in their skill. Once they are right beside each other, Lu Bu makes the first move and strikes with his weapon, which is able to push Thor back. So Thor, in turn, shows him what Mjolnir is capable of. But Lu Bu amazingly doesn't flinch. They both realize this is the first time not being able to take down their opponent with a single blow. The humans cheer Lu Bu on, shocked that he could actually be equal to a god. But Thor decides to put that to the test. He tilts Mjolnir backwards to unleash his war-finishing move called Thor's Hammer. Immediately, a huge blast of lightning descends on Lu Bu, but Lu Bu emerges unscathed, and even slashes Thor with his blade, shocking everyone. Normally, it is impossible for any human weapon to withstand the power of a god, so Brunhild came up with a perfect solution. She forged an agreement with her Valkyrie sisters to become weapons capable of forging with humans and defeating the gods. With direction from Brunhild, Lu Bu aimed for Thor's sacred glove and destroyed it, thinking Thor would no longer be able to wield his weapon. However, that's not the case. Mjolnir suddenly started throbbing, and Thor proudly announced that his hammer had finally awakened, which meant Thor could unleash his true power without destroying Mjolnir. Thor picked up Mjolnir and prepares for his ultimate form, which not even the gods themselves have seen. Then he smugly warns Lu Bu not to die as he throws the hammer at him. Lu Bu swiftly dodges and quickly charges at Thor while he's defenseless. However, Mjolnir comes spinning right behind him, forcing Lu Bu to dodge again, while Mjolnir returns to Thor. Thor acts immediately and uses all the force gathered by the throw to bring the hammer down on Lu Bu, who takes it head-on. The crowd goes wild after seeing that Lu Bu was actually able to withstand Thor's greatest attack. However, they hear the snap of Lu Bu's legs finally giving out after too many skipped leg days at the gym. His followers watch in horror as Lu Bu collapses, and Thor is about to end the fight. But suddenly, Lu Bu's horse runs up to him and licks his wounds to assure him it isn't over yet. The followers surged with faith that Lu Bu could still win with the help of his faithful steed. So Lu Bu climbed on his horse and began to prepare for a move so powerful that he once used it to split the sky. Lu Bu and Thor prepared for the final attacks that would decide their match, and when their weapons collided, an enormous energy blast resulted, while their faces looked as disturbingly happy as Hisoka whenever Gon turned around. Lu Bu ended up losing his arms, while his weapon turned back into the defeated Valkyrie, so Lu Bu happily rode toward Thor to meet his second death, this time happy to find someone stronger than he was. Lu Bu's followers are devastated by his loss and decide to die with him, so Thor grants them their wish and sends them to meet their master. After that disgraceful defeat, Brunhild looks for the next human she thinks can take on the gods' chosen warrior, and she settles on the one that hates the gods the most. They head back to the arena for round 2, and the announcer calls on the warrior from the human side, which turns out to be the first man, Adam, who remains true to his natural form. The gods suddenly call for a change in plans and switch out their warrior to Zeus. This shocks Brunhild, as Zeus is supposed to be the ultimate boss, but now she's not sure if Adam can handle the biggest bad there is. Hermes even plays him his own entrance music, and Zeus transformed from a dried-up chairman, Netero, to a towering Hulk. Adam's Valkyrie arrives and transforms into his weapon, a knuckle duster, which leaves the crowd severely underwhelmed. Zeus says he'll fight barehanded, but Adam's expression shows he couldn't give less fucks. Zeus speeds toward him to deliver the first blow, but Adam dodges easily. Zeus gives him props for that, then proceeds to attack with a series of consecutive punches called Meteor Jab, but none of them even make impact. Zeus follows up with Divine Axe, thinking his lower body might be weak, but Adam simply jumps out of the way. Now it's Adam's turn, and he seemingly starts with the exact same movement as Zeus and lands a clean hit on him. Then he follows up with Meteor Jab and Divine Axe, and every single attack hits. And that leaves Zeus excited. This is when Brunhild reveals that since Adam was made in the image of the gods, he can copy and mimic all of their skills and throw them right back, a skill known as Divine Reflection. Zeus gets excited and decides to up the ante and use a technique he learned from his father, the fist that surpassed time. Zeus basically stops time to knock some of Adam's teeth out, but it's no use, as Adam already copied the technique and immediately uses it against Zeus before he even knows what hit him. When time resumes, everyone's shocked to see that Zeus is the one on the floor. No one can believe that Zeus would lose to a mere mortal, but apparently Adam is just that guy. The ref is about to call it when Zeus stops him and says he's not done just yet. Zeus shrinks his body into his final form, Adamas, which looks like All Might after losing steam. This form lets him compress his muscles so he can release all his energy in his fists, making them extremely powerful. But just like before, Adam copies him and beats him to it. Zeus continues to attack, forcing Adam to copy it and do the same, till Brunhild realizes that his plan is to get Adam to overheat. However, Zeus is also on the verge of overheating, so it appears to be a battle of endurance. This endless exchange of blows was so intense that both the gods and the humans stood up at how beautiful the fight was. Suddenly, Adam goes blind and loses his powers, so Zeus proceeds to pummel him so badly that the humans pretty much beg him to die and end his suffering. Adam heard the cries of his children and then gave him some extra energy to keep fighting back and exchanging blows with Zeus, till Zeus fell on his knees, unable to continue. Everyone thought it was Zeus's loss, till he pointed out that Adam was actually long dead, but his body had somehow continued to throw punches. Zeus acknowledged Adam as a true badass just as his body broke apart, along with his Valkyrie, and disappeared to dust. After Brunhild searches for a new contender for the third round, a man named Sasaki walks up behind her and suggests he go next. The next round is about to begin, so the presenter calls up the god amongst gods, the older brother of Zeus, the one, the only, Poseidon. However, the gods aren't exactly cheering, as even they seem to be scared of him. Meanwhile, on the human side, the presenter calls their champion, the man revealed as the greatest loser in history, Sasaki. Needless to say, the crowd is pretty underwhelmed and wondering how a consistent loser could possibly be considered the greatest swordsman among the humans. The match is officially declared open, but neither of them moves an inch. On Poseidon's end, he's just too much of a pompous fool to do it. But on Sasaki's end, he's visualizing himself dying so many times that he's actually sweating in place. Brunhild reveals that there were actually 13 gods in Olympus, but the 13th one was eliminated by Poseidon for not being godly enough. But the terrifying part of the tale is not that Poseidon was strong enough to defeat another god in one strike, but that he commanded history to be rewritten as 12 gods and no one could say a word in protest. Sasaki, by contrast, was an extraordinary loser, but his strength lay in being able to train to the point of surpassing anyone he lost to, only for him to find someone stronger to lose to again. After running countless simulations in his head, Sasaki was finally ready to begin. So he stepped into Poseidon's range, causing him to attack. But Sasaki was able to dodge and keep dodging by anticipating Poseidon's move before he made them. Poseidon was not the least bit fazed and began whistling the same tune he used to defeat the 13th god. Then he charged at Sasaki faster than he expected and managed to stab him this time. The gods begin cheering for Poseidon, but this pisses him off as he calls them lowlives for not being godly enough. Sasaki calls him pathetic for not having any friends, and this angers Poseidon, causing him to rush him with a ferocious storm of strikes. Sasaki struggles to keep up and try to anticipate Poseidon's moves, but he apparently underestimated just how much Poseidon could throw at him. However, Sasaki's strength relied on being able to evolve after battling with his opponents, so he managed to find an opening and strike. But Poseidon dodged his attack and broke his sword in two. Sasaki looked back on his life full of losing streaks and constant surrendering and decided he wasn't done yet. He picked up the other half of the sword and was able to create two separate swords, thanks to the Valkyrie having two separate powers in her. Poseidon hits him with yet another storm of strikes. But this time, Sasaki is able to dodge every one of them and even slash Poseidon multiple times. Annoyed by his insolence, Poseidon decides to get serious and unleash his ultimate move. He formed a whole tempest of strikes, making it look like he was in all places at once. Even if Sasaki was able to anticipate his attacks, he wasn't fast enough to counter them. He found himself sinking into despair till he heard the voices of the crowd cheering him on, and he decided that for the first time in his life he wanted to win. He finally unlocked his ultimate power and was now able to anticipate all of Poseidon's attacks. In no time, he cut off both of Poseidon's arms, leaving him with only his mouth to wield his trident. Poseidon put up his last futile attempt as Sasaki cut him in half, ending the fight. For the first time in the whole of existence, a man defeated a god. However, Brunhild points out that with 10 more matches to go, humanity is a long, long way from truly winning against the gods. And now Zeus intends to get serious. Zeus decides that the Greek gods have to settle the score and knows just who to send to get the job done. For the 4th round, it's going to be Jack the Ripper versus Hercules. Who do you think is winning this round? If you want a part 2, comment "The gods aren't so tough" in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.